And now Gilbert Burns versus Neil Magny is your featured fight, and this is a fun fight. I like it, you know what I mean? Because it's two guys at the welterweight division that will just fight anyone at any time, at any place. Neil Magny for the longest time was calling out Khamzat Chimaev. Gilbert Burns was also calling for Khamzat Chimaev. Magny never got the fight, but I think we know how it would have gone. And Gilbert Burns did get the fight, and it was very competitive, and it was very fun, but I do think Khamzat Chimaev won the first and the third round. A lot of people think that Gilbert Burns won the third round, but I just don't think you can make that argument, because I think Khamzat was hurting Burns more in the third round than Burns was hurting Khamzat for sure. But yeah, Neil Magny, low-key maybe like a live underdog in this one, but I do think Gilbert Burns gets it done. I'm seeing some people say that Neil Magny's got no chance in this fight whatsoever, and I do have to disagree quite a bit, because Gilbert Burns is pretty small for 170, and Neil Magny's very long in range. He's got an 80-inch reach, and he's 6'3", which is a 9-inch reach advantage over Gilbert Burns. And Gilbert Burns has struggled in the past with guys that have really good jabs and really good straight punches, and that's what Neil Magny does. He throws straight punches with his range, and he can stay on the outside with his long limbs. But I don't think Gilbert Burns is going to let that happen in the matchup. I think Gilbert Burns on the feet is going to be closing the distance and trying to land his own bombs, and I do think he's going to be shooting for takedowns on Neil Magny as well, because I do like his jiu-jitsu in this fight as well. Gilbert Burns, former world champion jiu-jitsu guy, I believe. I think I'm correct in saying that. But yeah, just hasn't really got that many submissions in a long time. I think his last submission was in 2019, I think. But I could be wrong on that too. But he hasn't really got that many submissions in the UFC as of recent. But I think he really might be trying to work for a submission over Neil Magny, because I do think that's a pretty good path to victory for him. I do think the fight goes the distance, though. I think these guys might go to war. I think it's going to be very fun. Shout out to Neil Magny for taking any fight whatsoever, because Gilbert Burns, I think, was meant to fight Jorge Masvidal in this one. And I do think Gilbert Burns would have submitted Jorge Masvidal. But Jorge Masvidal didn't want the fight. I don't know what Jorge Masvidal's up to. Would have been a good opportunity, because I think Masvidal's ranked 11th right now, and Gilbert Burns is ranked number 3. So I don't know what Masvidal was trying to do, trying to avoid this fight, but it's a big opportunity now for Neil Magny to really get his name out there, especially if he even if he loses and gets a really competitive fight with Gilbert Burns. At the end of the day, Neil Magny does have the most wins in UFC welterweight history, which is absolutely ridiculous. I do believe he's fought every fight at welterweight with 20 wins. He's been around for a long time, man. Wait, that's a pretty awesome yeah, pretty awesome thing to have. But we have seen Neil Magny submitted a few times. Gilbert Burns' submission's pretty live, KO's pretty live, decision's pretty live. I think Gilbert Burns can get it done almost anywhere. But watch out for Neil Magny maybe staying at range and picking Gilbert Burns apart over time. But I don't think Gilbert Burns will let that happen in this matchup, so I've got Burns. I don't actually know about a prop. A prop's a tough one, you know. He could get it done by KO, he could get it done by submission, he could get it done by some decision as well. But yeah, I think Neil Magny's got a path to victory here, but I think that's really the only way he beats him. I think Gilbert Burns, aside from that, can brawl with Neil Magny. I think he can get takedowns against Neil Magny and kind of make it like the Wonder Boy fight, which is really boring, but he could do that. And he also could try and use his jiu-jitsu as well. But I think that we're going to be going with Gilbert Burns in this matchup here. Shout out to both guys for taking the fight, and it should be a fun one.